You're listening to Hammertime, waking up with the YCCA, a presentation of the Yavapai County Contractors Association. Once again, here's your host, Sandy Griffis.
Good morning, and thank you for tuning into Hammertime, brought to you by Yavapai County Contractors Association.
Is this Saturday or Sunday?
You know, it's Saturday, but if you tune in tomorrow, we do a replay every weekend, and then it will be Sunday.
You got it.
So don't mess up.
So you can do
It's
the
not
best
Saturday
of
both days. What are you buying your bride for Christmas?
both. I'll have to talk about that off air.
No, let's do it on air.
Okay, Patty, don't listen.
Don't listen, Patty.
I'm not telling.
Mike, I'm going to get it out. Listeners, I will figure this out. Our show last weekend with Derek Wood, Stressless Remodeling.
Very good.
So amazing.
Very good show.
What a great guy.
He is. I was just going to say, he is a super guy.
He's an entrepreneur.
Yeah, and very committed.
Very committed.
And some of the things that we're just talking about,
he's spot
looking
on
back,
with them.
Yep, he is.
Now that we say that, he's done very well. He's got the accountability and the traction. His processes are all there.
And he definitely has the vision.
Definitely has the vision. So our guest with us this morning, Miss Rebecca Finken. She is a implementer of the Entrepreneurial Operating System, EOS, right?
It's a mouthful.
It is. She's our EOS woman. How about, Rebecca, one thing that we see today, and I know Mike sees this as well, especially, you know what, it could be in all industries, every industry, I venture to say. They have the wrong people in the wrong positions.
Yes.
And they're afraid to either move them elsewhere or terminate because they are afraid they're going to suffer more consequences by not having an employee.
Yep. It's a common problem. My husband is really guilty of this. He's our integrator, which is a COO. So if you hang on to the wrong person long enough, it's going to take your culture down the tubes. So we work with our clients to get the right people in the right seats. And the way we do that is we create our culture. So we create our core values first, and that's in the vision building day one. We want to build a culture of people that will live up to those core values. They typically can't be taught core values. They have to be in your core, which is why we call them that. So we identify the handful of core values. We say less is more a lot in EOS. So between 3 and 7 core values is an average.
So give our listeners some examples of core values.
So at EOS, our core values, which is how I got kind of in this position because I really resonate with these. So grow or die. Help first, which was really big for me. It's always been big for me. Do the right thing, keep your word, and there is a fifth one. It is, oh my gosh, I knew I was going to do this.
We'll come back to it, but
I'll think of it.
Your help first, would you explain that one?
So it's like you're probably, you might not be target market for me because of the size of your business. However, I'm here to help you. I would give you the vision traction organizer and help you with, here, let's figure out what your core values are, what you stand for, and then you can attract the right contractors, subcontractors, partners in your business. We would look at what you want to make happen in 10 years, maybe 5 years, 3 years, and in 1 short year. So I will help you. I will give you a traction book all day long. Traction books are like my magic fairy dust. People read them and they have ahas, and sometimes they'll call me. Sometimes they'll just implement the tools on their own. And so, yeah.
The light goes on.
Did that answer your
see,
question?
you know, speaking of core values, I mean, being fair, being fun, you know, these are all core values. Working hard, that's one of my core values, the hard work.
And probably one of the things that she zeroes in on is working hard is certainly acceptable
as long as
you have limitations on how long you work. And can you leave it at the station, so to speak, or do you take it all home?
That delicate balance. And having the right people in the right seats will help you to have that delicate balance. Absolutely.
Do you see that a lot of companies don't have balance?
Most don't, because
Wow.
entrepreneurs innately are work until, dusk to dawn, fingers to the bone. That work ethic is in them. It's not going to go away. That's why they're visionaries.
Type A.
Yeah. And so we attempt to teach them, and we do this a couple of ways. One is core values, but we also have an assessment to make sure that the people on the team are in the right seats. So we measure the people against core values, as well as one other piece, which we call GWC. So you have to GWC the seat, meaning you get it, you want it, and you have the capacity to do the job. So those three things can be make or break moment if someone doesn't want it, but they're in it because they feel like they have to.
Or the visionary or the leader is setting them up for failure because he doesn't see that he's placed them in the wrong seat.
Or overwhelming them to where they can't
Yes.
achieve the capacity.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And
No.
they're afraid to say something.
Right.
Yeah. And that brings up two people issues, right? So you have the right person in the wrong seat. So the right person fits your core values to the T. They're happy. They might bring coffee every day. Everyone loves them, but they're in the wrong seat. They don't know how to do their job well. Then the other type of people issue we find is that they're the wrong person in the right seat. So they're crushing it. They're hitting their numbers, yet they aren't a part of the team. They have their good days and bad days. No one knows how to read them. They don't fit the culture. So in that instance, we beg and plead with our clients, you've got to make a change because it's going to take you down long term if there's not a culture fit, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
This is so interesting. So Rebecca, would you have a focus day or an entrepreneurial day with visionaries that are in government or nonprofits, schools?
That's what I love about EOS. It's industry agnostic. So
Okay.
I happen to work with a couple of nonprofits. Government, I haven't had the pleasure of working with yet. However, they are target market, right? They're like businesses. They need help in different ways. And then industries. So because I'm a family-owned business, I love working with family-owned businesses. It just, I know what it's like, right? For the last 30 years, the ups, the downs, the pain, the frustrations, the getting along with everyone on the team. So in my organization, it's my husband and I've stepped out of my leadership role, but our daughter, who's 36, is our visionary now. She's just like her dad, and so they're working together to keep the legacy alive and growing. So I love working with family-owned businesses. Contractors are near and dear to me. I love working with them because they're usually sponges. They want help. They use the system and they can really succeed and have a lot of success with it, with their teams and their businesses. But yeah, any industry, which is really fun.
I bet that would be. I mean, from bankers to doctors' offices to everything.
Yeah, the entrepreneurial spirit, though, is different from the corporate spirit from the standpoint that there may be buy-in in both cases. It's a different buy-in when it's yours.
It's absolutely right. Which is why it's coined that. So it's just like the gym. You might have the membership, but if you don't use the tools, it's not going to do you any good. So
Good analogy.
Okay, so is the buy-in, what percentage of excellence have you seen with a singular company, i.e., such as Mike, versus somebody that's not a family-owned business or a real entrepreneur?
So yeah, all across the board. So I had a client, they actually just graduated, which pained me because I get really close to my clients. They become family. So he had been with me for 4 years, started out as the one-man show, the solopreneur as we call it, grew, and in 4 years he quadrupled his business and added. He was an aerial survey company, so added planes, went from 6 planes to 12 planes.
Whoa.
Was able to get a loan for a $3 million plane that he'll get delivery of in 2025. Just amazing culture was created in those 4 years. And so that's an example of someone that needed to grow that team in order to get where he wanted to be, because he realized that wearing all those hats wasn't going to get him where he needed to be.
Had no idea what path to take.
Yeah. And then another example, I have an IT company, and they're EBITDA, which is their it's how they measure what they take home and their taxes and all the things that go into your bottom line. It's a typical company, I'll say, was maybe 12%. They're at 30% after 2 years, wow, which is amazing. And it sets them up to be acquired, which they actually just were. So a company that's running on EOS is more attractive to someone that wants to either acquire or purchase a business because they know they've got their ducks in a row. All the 6 key components are in place. They know what they're doing on a daily and weekly and monthly and quarterly basis.
Very interesting.
I have a great question, but I'm going to hold it till after break.
Don't forget.
You're listening to Hammertime, brought to you by YCCA and our great sponsors. And I won't forget, Rebecca, Mike, and me will be right back.
You're listening to Hammer Time, waking up with the YCCA, a presentation of the Yavapai County Contractors Association. Once again, here's your host, Sandy Griffis.
You know, this has just been a wonderful show, hasn't it? We've never had anything like this before.
We haven't.
And it's pretty amazing on how to get a grip on your business and how, Rebecca, how you bring it all forward in such an easy way. So let's say you have 2 visionaries of the company. One wants to grow and change and do everything. The other one, no, I like it just the way it is. What do you do?
In some cases, they need to part ways. There may not be a middle ground, and there may not be a way for them to both have their visions be realized. And one may not need to be the visionary anymore. Maybe they're the glue that holds the organization together. That would be the integrator. They make sure the train leaves the station on time. They're in charge of the people and the accountability piece, which visionaries are not good at typically. And so there may be a role change needed. There might be a split. Maybe it becomes 2 different entities, but they're still co-owners. It can look a lot of different ways.
And you help them figure that out.
I can, yes.
Amazing.
Yeah, no, that was a very good question because as Rebecca was explaining your position, the first thing you said is they may have to split, which seems like a harsh first statement. Mm-hmm. But if you're that diametrically opposed in your management goals, then how do you bring them together?
Yeah, it may not work. They just have to be open to that.
Yeah.
And that's okay. There's other ways to skin a cat, right?
Sure.
So Rebecca gave me this book, Traction. Mm-hmm. Fascinating. Just fascinating. I mean, and all of the positive concepts in the book and what people have written in and what they've talked about. Praise for Traction, Rebecca. It's just pages. So it has to work.
It's practically foolproof. Gino Wickman, who wrote Traction, who has been an entrepreneur his whole life, had this knack and passion for putting this all together and making it work in organizations. And in the very beginning, it wasn't called EOS. And he was, on a wing and a prayer, implementing this in different organizations, including his own. And then, formulated all the things and all the tools that we use now, which they weren't there in the beginning, but he's figured out what works and what doesn't work in the process in about the last 16 years.
Is he still alive?
He is, yes.
Have you met him?
I have. I have a picture with him. Oh. He's brilliant. He's really, really, and he loves this stuff. He lives it and breathes it. He's amazing.
What, just out of curiosity, what line of business was he in?
So real estate.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. His dad owned a real estate business, very successful. He wanted in, and his dad kept going, nope, nope, nope. And then finally he let him take it on in his 20s. Huh. And, and did really well, and it got acquired. And so he stayed on to help the new leadership team to, be successful so that they had the tools that they needed to succeed. So that's his help first.
Interesting.
Yeah, Gino Wickman, Wickman. Great book. So thank you, Rebecca, for this treasure.
You're welcome.
What else from your vision and your line of organization and traction that you see, what's another big item and component that companies are missing out on? Not counting our 6
key components.
What would something else be?
Well, an average client in this realm, when they're implementing this all purely using the tools the way they're intended, which is how I implement. I don't do it any other way because I know it works. But an average client will increase their bottom line by 37% year over year. So that's pretty substantial
that's huge.
in the world of entrepreneurship in this day and age.
That's big.
Yeah.
Now, where did that 37% come from? How was that measured?
So we all have CRMs, and EOS Worldwide is really good at tracking data. And so our data is all there. And every quarter, they know how many sessions were had, how many session dollars were made, how many clients there are that are running on this system, both with an implementer and without. They've got a pretty good handle on the self-implementer realm, which it's a big part of our business. And they can pay to get the tools. They pay a monthly fee and have access to all the information just without an implementer like myself.
And I'm assuming, and you don't need to divulge this, but you do charge for your services.
I do. And one of the greatest parts of this whole process, and one of the reasons I got involved, is we charge a daily fee, so per session day. So the first year you'd have about 7 sessions, the second year about 5 sessions. So each day would be a session fee, and that's fully guaranteed, and that's across the board. Every implementer offers the same guarantee. So if you don't get value from me, then you don't pay me. So it keeps me on my toes. You know that I'm not practicing on you. I've been using the tools for a long time, so people feel that comfort level with me, and that's how we work together successfully.
Are you available outside of your sessions? So if Mike wanted to call and he was having a issue challenge, could he call you and
Absolutely.
say, Rebecca?
Absolutely. In fact, I do this for my clients all the time. If they have a specific issue, one of our tools, which I didn't mention, we have about 20 tools in our toolbox. So every quarter we'll teach a tool based on what their needs are. Sometimes it's cash flow, sometimes it's people. And so I'll come in and do a session, maybe a couple of hours, and just help them with that particular and piece of what their issue is. But I help people all the time. That's part of our Help First core value. And just have a conversation with me. I'll give you some input. And a lot of times I'll ask a lot of questions just because sometimes the answers are in the room. I may not have them all. You might have them. You just have to look at it a little differently.
Right.
So
I would just think that the ability to move through this in a very productive, concise manner would really be assisted with an implementer as opposed to self-implementation. Because with self-implementation, you have to go through and understand the process before you ever start implementing.
It's hard. Having done it, it was really hard.
We have to take a break. We're going to be unplugged if we don't. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Hammertime, waking up with the YCCA, a presentation of the Yavapai County Contractors Association. Once again, here's your host, Sandy Griffis.
Rebecca, what an honor to be with Mike and me this morning, and we must have you back.
Absolutely.
Because there is way too much information we didn't even get covered, right, Mike?
We just scratched the surface.
We just barely scratched the surface. We need our implementer back.
We need help.
Rebecca, share with our listeners how they can reach you.
So they can reach me at rebecca.finken@EOS Worldwide. That's my email address. My cell phone is always on. It's area code 702-353-1490. And all of the tools that EOS provides are on the website eosworldwide.com. Free to download. You can even download chapters of each of the books in the Traction Library, which that's growing and can be a real value to entrepreneurs.
So Rebecca, REBECCA.Finken, FINKEN, at EOSworldwide.com.
That's it.
What a treat having you with Mike and me. This was wonderful. You will be back, and I'm looking forward to
You're awesome. Thank you so much.
Our marketing session in January. We've got a vision to put it on in January.
Terrific.
So, listeners, I'm Sandy.
I'm Mike.
I'm Rebecca.
And we all say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a great weekend. And remember, call me 778-0040 should you need any help, need a contractor, have a challenge, have an issue, have a vision, have people problems.
And Sandy's got her own toolbox of help for you.
Yes, I do have my own toolbox of traction. So have a great weekend. We love you, we adore you, and thank you for tuning in to Hammertime. Until next weekend,
See
bye.
you next week.
Hammertime.
Thank you for tuning in to Hammertime. Waking Up with the YCCA, a presentation of the Yavapai County Contractors Association. Heard each and every Saturday morning at 7, with an encore presentation Sunday mornings at 7 on AM 1130 by 99.9 FM in Prescott, 95.5 FM, Prescott Valley and Cottonwood, and online at kqna.com. A library of past Hammertime shows can be listened to on the Yavapai County Contractors website at ycca.org.
Break it down.